The sky burned crimson as the first Zeraxian ships breached Earth's atmosphere. Massive metallic structures descended like predatory birds, their sharp edges cutting through clouds and casting long shadows over Seoul's sprawling cityscape. Jaehwa Park stood at the window of her research facility, watching the invasion unfold with a mixture of terror and scientific curiosity. Alarms blared throughout the underground complex. Military personnel rushed through narrow corridors, their boots echoing against cold metal walls. Sungmin Kim, a tactical strategist with piercing eyes and a calm demeanor, began coordinating the initial response. He knew this was not just another military engagement. This was humanity's fight for survival. The first wave of attacks came without warning. Alien energy weapons vaporized entire city blocks in seconds. Skyscrapers crumbled like sand castles, their glass and steel frames disintegrating under impossible technological might. Millions of people disappeared in moments, reduced to ash and distant memories. Jaehwa's research team had been studying theoretical quantum defense systems, a project most military commanders had dismissed as pure fantasy. Now, those seemingly impossible theories represented humanity's last hope. Her fingers moved rapidly across holographic displays, analyzing the alien weapon signatures and searching for potential vulnerabilities. "We need a complete data transfer," she shouted to her team. Young engineers worked frantically, backing up critical research and technological insights. Every piece of information could mean the difference between total extinction and potential survival. Sungmin watched the city's destruction through surveillance systems. Military responses seemed futile. Traditional weapons were like throwing pebbles against a hurricane. The Zeraxian technology was generations ahead of human capabilities. Their ships moved with impossible precision. Their weapons defied known physics. In the underground facility, a small group of 127 survivors represented humanity's last intellectual reservoir. Scientists, engineers, military strategists, and technical experts huddled together, their skills now more valuable than entire armies. They knew that conventional warfare was over. Survival would require something entirely different. Jaehwa noticed something unusual in the alien weapon signatures. Micro-fluctuations in their energy patterns suggested a complex but potentially exploitable system. Her quantum analysis showed tiny moments of vulnerability, microsecond windows where their defensive shields might be compromised. "We're not just going to die," she muttered, her hands moving across complex holographic models. "We're going to understand them." Outside Seoul transformed into an apocalyptic landscape. Buildings collapsed, streets cracked open, and massive alien machinery began systematic destruction. The Zeraxian forces moved with calculated precision, eliminating potential resistance zones with terrifying efficiency. Sungmin began developing initial survival protocols. Underground networks, emergency communication systems, and rapid adaptation strategies became their primary focus. They couldn't fight the aliens directly, not yet. Survival meant becoming invisible, understanding the enemy, and preparing for a long, complex resistance. Young engineers started dismantling captured alien technology. Every piece of equipment, every fragment of alien machinery became a potential key to understanding their attackers. They worked with a combination of fear, determination, and scientific passion. The facility's walls vibrated with distant explosions. Emergency power systems kicked in, bathing everything in a soft blue emergency light. Computers hummed, processing. Massive amounts of data collected during the initial invasion. Jaehwa's team discovered something remarkable. The Zeraxian weapon systems, despite their advanced technology, had a fundamental mathematical predictability. Their attack patterns followed specific quantum probability models that could potentially be manipulated or countered. "We're not just victims," Sungmin announced to the gathered survivors. "We're the first line of human resistance." As darkness fell over the destroyed cityscape, the underground facility became a beacon of hope. 127 humans, armed with nothing but their intelligence, determination, and an emerging understanding of their alien attackers, began humanity's most important fight. The invasion was complete. Earth seemed defeated. But in this small underground space, something extraordinary was just beginning. HFY looked at her team, her eyes reflecting both the emergency lights and an unbreakable human spirit. They would survive. They would understand. And eventually, they would fight back. The first layer of humanity's survival strategy was being written, not with weapons but with knowledge. The underground research facility became a crucible of human innovation. Months after the initial invasion, the survivors had transformed their hidden space into a complex network of laboratories, living quarters, and adaptive technological centers. HFY Park's team worked around the clock, their mission clear: turn human vulnerability into unexpected strength. Sung-Min Kim mapped out the facility's defensive capabilities. Hidden ventilation systems, quantum-shielded communication networks, and multi-layered power grids turned their underground sanctuary into a fortress of human resilience. Every inch of space served multiple purposes. Every resource was carefully managed. Young engineers like Hae-Jin Lee spent countless hours dismantling captured alien technology. Their workstations were covered with intricate mechanical parts, holographic projections showing complex energy signatures, and partially reconstructed alien devices. What seemed like impossible technology slowly began to reveal its secrets. One breakthrough came unexpectedly. Hae-Jin discovered a unique neural interface system within a damaged Xeraxian communication device. The technology suggested a way to create adaptive communication networks that could predict and counter alien tracking systems. It wasn't just about defense. It was about turning the enemy's technology against them. The facility developed a unique survival strategy. They weren't trying to match the Xeraxians' technological might directly. Instead, they sought to understand, adapt, and create hybrid systems that defied conventional warfare. Human creativity became their most powerful weapon. Biological adaptation became another crucial focus. The research team developed advanced medical technologies that could quickly modify human physiology to withstand extreme conditions. Specialized nutrition systems, genetic modification techniques, and neural enhancement protocols transformed ordinary humans into extraordinary survivors. Sung-Min's tactical training merged with scientific innovation. They created specialized units designed to exploit the psychological and technological weaknesses of the alien invaders. Each team member became a multidisciplinary survivor, part scientist, part soldier, part strategist. Communication with other surviving human groups became a complex challenge. They developed quantum-encrypted communication systems that could transmit information through multiple dimensional channels, making it nearly impossible for Xeraxian forces to intercept or track. HFY's quantum research took an unexpected turn. She discovered that human neural networks had unique adaptive capabilities that exceeded any known biological system. The human brain's ability to rapidly process, adapt, and create made it more flexible than the highly structured Xeraxian technological systems. The facility became a living organism of human potential. Hydroponic systems grew food, recycling. Technologies transformed waste into usable resources, and power generation became a complex dance of alternative energy sources. Nothing was wasted. Everything was adapted. Young technicians like Minho worked on developing adaptive armor systems. Using captured alien materials and human engineering, they created protective gear that could change its molecular structure in response to different environmental challenges. A single suit could transform from heat-resistant to radiation-proof in milliseconds. Training became as important as technological development. Survival simulations, psychological conditioning, and multidisciplinary skill development turned each survivor into a potential solution. A biochemist might become a tactical strategist. An engineer could quickly transition to medical support. The underground facility maintained strict discipline. Limited resources meant every action had to be calculated. Food was carefully portioned, energy was meticulously managed, and every technological experiment was conducted with precision and purpose. Hae-Jin's team made a breakthrough in neural interface technology. They developed a system that could allow humans to temporarily interface with alien technological systems, essentially speaking the language of Xeraxian machinery. It was a small victory, but a significant one. Sungmin continued developing tactical strategies. They weren't planning a direct confrontation. That would be suicide. Instead, they were preparing for a long-term resistance. Every piece of information, every technological insight, was a potential weapon. As months passed, the facility transformed. What began as a desperate survival space became a testament to human adaptability. 127 survivors had become a complex, interconnected system of human potential. They were no longer just hiding. They were preparing. HFY looked around the facility, seeing not just survivors, but the early stages of humanity's regeneration. The Xeraxians had destroyed cities, but they couldn't destroy human creativity, determination, and capacity for adaptation. The second layer of humanity's survival strategy was taking shape, hidden, but incredibly powerful. Waiting, learning, preparing to fight back. The mountain base was cold and silent. Dae-Hyun Kwan studied the holographic map, his fingers tracing potential attack routes. Months of preparation had led to this moment, humanity's first organized resistance against the Xeraxian occupation. Small teams of specially trained survivors moved like shadows. They were no longer just scientists and engineers. They had become something else, urban ghosts, technological warriors who understood that survival meant striking where the enemy least expected. Their first target was a Xeraxian communication relay station located in the ruins of what was once a major industrial complex. Intelligence suggested the station controlled regional tracking and communication systems for alien occupation forces. Hai Jin's neural interface technology proved crucial. She had developed a system that could temporarily disrupt alien communication frequencies. It wasn't about destroying the station, it was about sending a message. Humans were not defeated. The strike team moved with precision. 6 members, each carrying specialized equipment developed in the underground facility. Their suits, a hybrid of captured alien technology and human innovation, could change molecular structure, making them nearly invisible to standard scanning. Systems Dae-Hyun's tactical training showed in every movement. They approached from multiple angles, using terrain and abandoned infrastructure as natural camouflage. The Xeraxian patrol systems were advanced, but humans had become masters of unpredictability. Minho triggered the first disruption. A carefully designed quantum pulse swept through the communication relay, creating momentary chaos in the alien systems. Monitoring devices went crazy, showing impossible data streams and communication breakdowns. The attack lasted less than 7 minutes. By the time Xeraxian response teams arrived, the human strike team had vanished. No casualties, no direct confrontation. Just a precise surgical strike that demonstrated human capability. Back in the mountain base, celebration was muted. They understood the real victory was not in destruction, but in proving they could fight back. Each successful mission was a layer of their survival strategy, psychological warfare as much as physical combat. HFY analyzed the mission data. The neural interface had worked perfectly, allowing temporary penetration of alien communication networks. They had not just attacked a station, they had learned valuable information about Xeraxian communication protocols. Sungmin developed new tactical approaches. The next missions would be more complex. They would target supply chains, create false communication signals, and systematically undermine the alien occupation's infrastructure. The survivors had transformed. Scientists became guerrilla warriors. Engineers became strategic planners. Every person understood that their survival depended on collective intelligence and adaptability. Training became intense. Members learned multiple skills: medical support, technological repair, tactical planning, and combat techniques. A biochemist might need to repair a communication device one moment and provide medical support the next. Their equipment was a marvel of human innovation. Suits that could change temperature and molecular density. Weapons that used captured alien technology. Communication systems that could transmit through multiple dimensional channels. The mountain base became a living, breathing organism of resistance. Hydroponic systems grew food. Recycling technologies transformed waste. Power came from multiple alternative sources. Nothing was wasted. Everything was a potential resource. More survivor groups began to emerge. Small pockets of human resistance, inspired by the first successful missions, started coordinating their efforts. They shared information through quantum encrypted communication channels, creating a complex network of resistance. Dae-hyun understood their strategy. They were not trying to defeat the Zeraxians in direct combat. They were wearing them down, creating psychological uncertainty, showing that humans were unpredictable and impossible to completely control. Each mission was carefully planned. Intelligence gathering was as important as the physical attack. They wanted to understand the alien systems, find weaknesses, create opportunities for future resistance. The Zeraxian occupation forces began to show signs of stress. Communication, breakdowns, supply chain disruptions, unexplained technological failures. They had expected a quick, complete conquest. Instead, they faced an enemy that refused to be defeated. Hyojin's latest research suggested they could eventually develop technologies to directly interface with and potentially control alien systems. It was more than hope. It was a scientific possibility. As night fell over the mountain base, the survivors gathered. They were no longer just victims. They were the first wave of human resistance. Each person carried the hope of humanity, not through brute force but through intelligence, creativity, and an unbreakable spirit. The third layer of humanity's survival strategy was clear. They would fight, not with traditional weapons but with something far more powerful: human adaptability and collective intelligence. Dr. Jae-hwa Park's hands trembled slightly as she initiated the quantum algorithm. The underground facility hummed with anticipation. Months of research, countless failed experiments, and sleepless nights had led to this moment. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing complex mathematical patterns that seemed to dance between reality and pure imagination. Sungmin Kim watched carefully, his tactical mind processing every microscopic detail of the emerging system. What began as a theoretical quantum communication algorithm was transforming into something extraordinary. The system could now predict Zeraxian strategic movements with impossible accuracy. Not just predict, but potentially manipulate. Shai-Jin Lee's breakthrough in neural interface technology merged perfectly with the quantum algorithm. They had created something unprecedented, a technological system that could think, adapt, and respond faster than any known artificial intelligence. The first test came unexpectedly. A Zeraxian patrol ship approached their mountain region, its scanning system sweeping the terrain. Instead of hiding, the team activated their new system. The algorithm created a complex interference pattern that made the entire mountain region appear as nothing more than natural terrain. "It's working," Sungmin whispered, watching the alien ship's sensors completely miss their hidden base. The quantum algorithm had essentially created a living, breathing camouflage that could adapt in real time. But it was more than just a defensive tool. The system could now generate false communication signals, create phantom technological signatures, and even temporarily hijack alien communication networks. Humanity had found its technological equalizer. Dae-hyun Kwan's tactical team began developing new mission strategies. No longer would they rely on traditional guerrilla warfare techniques. They could now create entire false scenarios, mislead alien forces, and strike with unprecedented precision. The quantum algorithm learned continuously. Each interaction, each captured signal, each piece of alien technology became another layer of understanding. It was evolving faster than any human or alien system could comprehend. Research showed the algorithm's potential was almost limitless. It could predict probabilistic outcomes with such accuracy that it seemed to be looking into multiple potential futures simultaneously. The Zeraxian command structure began to show signs of confusion and stress. Small resistance groups around the world started receiving encrypted communication packages. The algorithm could now create communication networks that were virtually undetectable, allowing isolated human groups to coordinate without risk of interception. Jae-hwa realized they had created more than a technological tool. They had developed a living system of resistance. The quantum algorithm was becoming something between technology and collective human intelligence. Medical teams discovered unexpected benefits. The neural interface technologies could now help humans adapt to extreme conditions, process information faster, and potentially enhance human capabilities beyond previous limitations. Zeraxian tracking systems became increasingly ineffective. Where they once could pinpoint human resistance locations with surgical precision, now they faced a technological nightmare. Human groups could appear and disappear like digital ghosts. The facility's power systems transformed. Drawing energy from multiple sources, quantum fluctuations, captured alien technology, and innovative human engineering, they created a self-sustaining technological ecosystem. Sungmin's tactical simulations showed something remarkable. With the new quantum algorithm, they could potentially predict and counter entire invasion strategies before they were even implemented. The aliens' technological superiority was becoming their greatest weakness. Hai Jin continued refining the neural interfaces. Preliminary tests suggested they could now create temporary connections between human minds and technological systems, essentially allowing humans to speak the language of alien machinery. The psychological impact was significant. Zeraxian communication logs, secretly accessed through the quantum system, revealed growing frustration and uncertainty. An enemy that could not be predicted became terrifying. Daehyun's strike teams prepared for more complex missions. They were no longer just surviving. They were preparing to reclaim their world. Each technological breakthrough was a step closer to total resistance. As the quantum algorithm continued to evolve, Jaehua understood they had created something unprecedented. It was more than a weapon. It was humanity's digital immune system, adaptive, intelligent, and utterly unpredictable. The fourth layer of humanity's survival strategy was complete. Technology had become their ultimate weapon, not through brute force, but through intelligence, adaptability, and an unbreakable human spirit. The Zeraxians had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. The first adaptive starship broke through Earth's atmosphere like a living creature. Its hull shifted and reconfigured, molecular structures changing with impossible speed. Sungmin Kim watched from the command center, his hands steady on the quantum interface controls. Humanity's first interstellar fleet was nothing like traditional spacecraft. These were living technologies, part machine, part biological system, entirely unpredictable. Each ship was a direct result of years of research, survival, and desperate innovation. Jaehua Park's quantum algorithm guided the fleet's movements. Where conventional military strategies would plan fixed routes, these ships could reshape themselves, redirect instantly, and communicate through complex quantum networks that defied traditional understanding of space and time. The Zeraxian occupation zones began to crumble. Human strike teams equipped with adaptive technologies moved like liquid through enemy defenses. They were no longer fighting with traditional weapons. They were fighting with pure technological adaptation. Dae-Hyun Kwan led the first major offensive. His team had developed neural interfaces that allowed direct communication between human consciousness and ship systems. Pilots didn't just control ships, they became one with them. Each starship carried more than weapons. They were mobile research centers, capable of analyzing and adapting to alien technologies in real time. Captured Zeraxian systems were immediately integrated, transformed, repurposed. Hai-Jin Lee's medical team had prepared the ship's crews. Enhanced neural capabilities, biological modifications that allowed humans to withstand extreme space conditions, and quantum-linked communication systems made them more than soldiers. They were evolutionary pioneers. The first major battle occurred near Jupiter's orbit. Zeraxian Command had set up a massive defensive network, believing it to be impenetrable. The human fleet approached differently. Instead of direct confrontation, they used quantum interference patterns to essentially rewrite the defensive systems. Starships moved like living organisms. They could split, merge, change shape, and communicate through complex quantum networks. A single ship could become multiple smaller vessels or combine into a larger defensive structure within seconds. Zeraxian communication logs revealed growing panic. Their technological superiority had been their primary weapon. Now, humans had not just matched their technology, they had transformed it into something entirely unexpected. Adaptive medical technologies allowed crews to survive conditions that would have killed traditional humans. Radiation, extreme temperatures, gravitational stress, these became mere technical challenges to be solved. The quantum algorithm continued learning. Each engagement, each captured piece of technology became another layer of understanding. The ships were evolving faster than any biological or technological system could comprehend. Resistance groups from around the solar system began coordinating. Small teams that had survived underground now became crucial parts of the reclamation strategy. Their local knowledge combined with advanced technologies created a complex resistance network. Sungmin's tactical simulations showed something extraordinary. They were not just reclaiming Earth, they were preparing for potential interstellar expansion. The technologies developed during survival were now tools of exploration and potential colonization. HFY realized they had created more than a defense system. They had developed a new model of human civilization, adaptive, intelligent, capable of transforming challenges into opportunities. The Zeraxian command made a final, desperate communication. Their message was simple. Humans were not just a species to be conquered. They were a force of technological and evolutionary unpredictability. Starships continued spreading through the solar system. Each movement was a statement. Humanity would not just survive, they would thrive. They would transform the very understanding of technological and biological potential. Dae-hyun watched the tactical displays. Entire Zeraxian occupation zones were being systematically dismantled. Not through brute force, but through intelligent, adaptive strategies that constantly evolved. The medical teams continued their work. Neural interfaces became more sophisticated. Biological enhancements allowed humans to adapt to environments that would have been impossible just years before. As the first wave of reclamation completed, something became clear. This was more than a military victory. This was a fundamental reimagining of human potential. Technology, biology, intelligence, all merging into a single, adaptive system. The final layer of humanity's survival strategy was complete. They had not just survived, they had transformed. From a species on the brink of extinction to potential masters of technological adaptation.